You know that feeling, right? It's September, the first week of school, and it feels like your child has forgotten, well, pretty much everything they learned last year. We're talking about the summer slide. But here's the thing. We're going to flip the script on that. We're going to show you how to turn those months off into an incredible launch pad for success. So let's start with the big question. What's really happening when those skills seem to just evaporate over the summer?
It's a question so many of us ask. Your kid finishes the school year strong, reading like a champ, and then, poof. After a couple of months of sun and fun, they're stumbling over words in books that were a breeze back in May. So what is actually going on during that break?
All right, so to figure out the solution, we first have to get a really clear picture of the problem. And this isn't just some random thing. It's a well-known phenomenon that educators have been studying for a long, long time.
At its heart, the summer slide is just what happens when the daily rhythm of learning and practicing comes to a halt. You can think of it like a muscle, If you stop working it out, it gets weaker. It's so common, in fact, that teachers literally plan for it. They spend the first chunk of every school year just getting kids back up to speed with where they were last spring. Now, this is a really, really critical point. While pretty much every student feels the summer slide to some extent, for kids who learn differently, kids with dyslexia, for example, it's not just a little dip. It can be a massive step backward, and it can make that gap between them and their classmates even wider.
And the scale of this is, well, it's pretty staggering. Research from NWEA found that students with learning disabilities can lose their reading skills at 2 to 3 times the rate of their peers over the summer. Let that sink in for a second. 2 to 3 times. That is a huge difference, and it shows why a one-size-fits-all summer is just for relaxing approach really doesn't cut it.
But this is where the story takes a really hopeful turn. Because instead of looking at summer as this time of inevitable learning loss, what if we started seeing it for what it really is? A unique, once-a-year window of opportunity. A time not just to catch up, but to leap forward. I love this quote from educator Leah Skinner because it just nails it. The very things that cause the slide, that break from the usual school routine, can be flipped on their head and used to create the perfect environment for focused, accelerated learning. So, what is the secret sauce? What makes summer instruction so incredibly powerful, especially for kids who need it most? Well, it's not magic. It's actually a combination of specific, research-backed ideas that are just really hard to pull off during the chaos of a normal school year. Let's dig into why this works so well.
It really all boils down to these 3 key ingredients: concentrated practice, a singular focus, and the amazing power of a fresh start. Let's break down what each of these really means.
Okay, first up, concentrated practice. For a child with dyslexia, reading doesn't just click into place. It takes a ton of repetition to build those neural pathways and make it automatic. During the school year, they might get reading help in little bits and pieces, sandwiched between math and science and social studies. But summer allows for that intense daily work that really cements those skills until they become second nature.
And this just lays it out so clearly. Look at the left. That's the school year. It's a constant juggling act. But on the right, you've got the summer intensive. It has one mission, and one mission only: helping your child build a specific skill. That singular focus means they can make the kind of progress that's often just not possible in a regular classroom setting. And we can't forget the psychology of it all, the fresh start. I mean, think about it. If school has been a place of struggle and frustration for your child, that classroom can be filled with anxiety. A new summer environment with new teachers and other kids who are all there for the same reason can be a total reset. It creates a safe space for them to get those small wins that build on each other and completely rebuild their confidence.
So this all sounds pretty great in theory, right? But the big question is, does it actually work in the real world? Well, this is where we get to look at the hard data, because the results are honestly incredible.
Just take a look at this chart. On the left, that's what a typical summer looks like for a lot of rising third graders. They actually go backward. But look at the right. With a structured program, they don't just stop the slide. They actually move forward. They make progress. It's not just about preventing loss. It's about creating real, measurable gain. This study from LXD Research tracked almost 1,000 students, and it's pretty eye-opening. But I want you to look at that bottom row, fall readiness. For kids in a structured program, they didn't just tread water. They started the new school year with higher scores than they had when they left in the spring. That is the whole point. They are starting ahead of the game, not playing catch-up. Okay, so the evidence is pretty clear, but we all know that not all summer programs are created equal. So how do you, as a parent, find a program that's the real deal, one that will actually be a launchpad for your kid? Here you go. These are the 5 essential questions you should ask any program you're considering. Think of this as your toolkit. If a program can't give you a clear, confident answer to every single one of these, especially about their curriculum, their teachers' training, and their data, that's a major red flag. And this is basically what you want to hear in their answers. You're looking for proven, structured literacy programs, names like Wilson, Barton, or Orton-Gillingham. You want to know their instructors are certified specialists, not just well-meaning camp counselors. Small groups are key, and they absolutely have to be able to show you how they track progress with real assessments. This is the recipe for success. So let's just bring this all home for a minute. Forget the data and the checklists, and just picture it. It's the first day of school in September. Your child walks into that new classroom, not with that old anxiety, but with their head held high, feeling confident. The teacher hands out the first book, and your kid is ready. That's the goal. That's the transformation we're talking about. And in the end, it really all comes down to this one simple question. Those 2 months of summer are going to fly by no matter what we do. But by seeing it as this incredible window of opportunity, you have the power to decide if it's going to be a slide or a launch pad. So, how are you going to make it count?